Hey, what are we getting ready to do?
Go to Alaska!
We'll leave it all behind. Won't stop till the finish line. We'll go together on this open road.
Oh my God! Really?
Tether these wild hearts. Sleep underneath the stars. We'll go.
All right, we made it. Catch a can.
Alaska is definitely the last frontier. You know, something that's been so untouched by man. And you have just these little pockets that have been carved out and inhabited by some of the most hardcore people in the world. You don't live in Alaska unless you've got grit.
Is this us right here? Wow.
The first day that I arrived, man, I'm excited and I'm thinking in my head sunshine and bald eagles and orca whales.
Here we are, we're in Ketchikan, Alaska with John Holt, and we're gonna build some houses.
But I never thought about the challenges. It was foggy, it was cold, it was rainy, it was wet, it was everything that Alaska is all together. And I said, man, this could be really, really challenging. It was calm before the storm. So we made it. We're here in Ketchikan, Alaska, with John Holt and his family, and we're building some arches. And we're pretty excited about it. A little tired. Woke up at 2 o'clock this morning. It's now somewhere around 2:30 Alaska time. So from Texas to Alaska. Now we're here. Jillian's coming in right now. We're going to actually take the boat to the airport and pick her up with the boat. When Jillian and my mother arrived, I was a little down.
John Holt, got Jillian.
And they couldn't have gotten there soon enough.
So,
And to see them seeing nature with a new set of eyes, to watch the excitement and the joy and the huge smiles all the way, it really gave me confirmation that
That's a good piece.
we're all where we're supposed to be,
that's a keeper.
and we're all doing what we are supposed to be doing.
We are John and Lorna Holt, and we operate Airways Renewal Retreat. We live in Ketchikan, Alaska. We actually live on an island near Ketchikan, Alaska. It's Gravina Island. It's 90 square miles, and we share it with about 30 other people. Because the international airport is here, we're on. Oh, whoa. What is going on?
You gotta get that. Jillian,
Gotta
you wanna
get that.
Okay. They stripped that. That airplane was the first airplane that my late husband restored and started his company Pacific Airways, which is the name of it. And after he died, wow,
That is crazy.
that was their pay scheme.
That is nuts.
I was married young and in my early 20s moved to Ketchikan with my husband, and we were raising 4 children here. When he was a owner operator of a float plane company. He was both a pilot and a mechanic. I stayed home with our 4 children. A lot of joy and what we had aspired to do as a young family. And then in 2010, my late husband Josh was killed in a plane crash. He was the pilot of the airplane and hit some severe weather, and the plane went down and he didn't survive. So our world was rocked. Our oldest daughter had turned 16 just 3 days before that, and we had a 13-year-old son, a 10-year-old daughter, and a 7-year-old son. So I was overnight a single mom with 4 kids, wondering what in the world I was gonna do. I met John, who was a dear friend of my late husband Josh's as well. So.
Yeah, Josh was probably the finest guy I've ever known. He was the best dad I ever knew, the best husband, the best employer, the best friend.
I had read a book called Fearless about a woman who had lost her husband. He was a Navy SEAL, and I started thinking, man, I could build a little cabin on my property and just host, a widow who's still raising kids and just wants to get away, come to Alaska, and just love on her and encourage her. And so that seed that desire had started to kind of grow in my heart.
And when Lorna said that, it was just like, that's what this place is for.
What's left to take?
John and I walked the job site. He's kind of explaining where he wants things, how he wants them, and we're getting a scope of what the week is going to look like. This is definitely the wildest job site I've ever been on. I've never touched a piece of raw land like this and tried to build on it as is. John was very specific that we can't change the landscape and we can't damage any roots. It's a rainforest. There's not an inch of level ground. There's material scattered all over the beach. There had been salt water lapping up on all of the ribs, all of the ridge beams. We can't build till we clean all this stuff up. And I'm just thinking, how are we going to get this done?
Stoked about it.
Right.
That's like, if we get that done.
All of these challenges aside, I knew that we didn't have time. We had a crew coming, we had a mission, and we had to get some houses built. The Mennonite brothers were set to arrive. I'd never met any of these gentlemen in my life. You never know what it's going to be like working with a new crew. All these guys look like pretty green hands. They're all in sports shirts and tennis shoes and, pretty clean-cut fellas. And just not my typical work crew. So it gave me a little bit of apprehension. Were they there just for a vacation in Alaska, or were they there to build some houses like I was? And the first evening sitting on the dock and getting to know everybody, it became very vastly apparent to me that these guys were here to build some houses. But I also knew that only time would tell. So day one, I kind of had really high hopes and optimistic thoughts as far as what we're going to get done. But being in an environment like this, you shoot for the stars, and if you hit the clouds, you feel pretty good about it. As the work started, the first thing that we needed to do was to delegate. So I kind of got everybody's background and went through the crew. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
Hey, where's the 2-foot level?
Well, there was Bob.
Or 4-foot level, I mean.
Bob is a carpenter, framer. He's done stuff his entire life, built a ton of things. So I said, you lead the foundation crew. He took that task on, and I took the crew. Our plan was to finish decking out the first cabin and get that cabin erected.
Keep going. No. Keep going. Just move this way. Okay, whoa.
This is where the magic happens. We start snapping together the frame, and we're only about an hour into getting the frame up. So we push up and start stabbing the other ribs, and within another 20 minutes, we had the whole frame of a house up. And as the day goes through and we're progressing, we start framing up these end caps of these walls, and I'm noticing that my foundation team is struggling. They're having a little bit of a hard time, and it's just a communication breakdown. I knew that I had to jump in. Bob took off to take a break, and I fully understand it. I shouldn't have done that. But at the end of the day, we had a conversation. I apologized. The next day, it was like a fresh restart. It's like it never happened. You want to keep your crew safe. You want to keep your crew sound mind, and you want to keep the vibe right.
You got the hang of it now.
How's it going, guys? We're here, end of day one, Ketchikan, Alaska. End of the week goal is to have 4 houses dried in.
We gotta get all your smiling, sweaty faces.
What we've done today is a 12 by 16, a 16 by 20, which I'm standing on. This foundation, nor pier, nor blocks, was here this morning. So this is pretty exciting. So we've got all this done and the arch frames erected today. So we got 2 houses. Tomorrow we're gonna be working on doing all the end cap framing for both of these houses. And by the end of the day, we should have our end caps done. And the following day, maybe moving into sheet metal. We've got an amazing crew. We've got 10 volunteers that have showed up from Kansas City. They're part of the Mennonite Brotherhood. And these guys are awesome. We split into 2 teams today, and this was the result. Looks like there's 4. Wow.
Working with and around nature was one of the most wonderful and challenging things I've ever done. There was this tremendous peace and tranquility all around us. Ironically, this tranquility proved to be the bane of our production. To overcome the challenge of, hey, we've got stuff everywhere, we've got all this unlevel ground, but you know what? We've got a lot of hands here. So let's use these hands, let's embrace these hands together and just start handing material up from the beach, or just start grabbing sheet metal and sliding it through this tiny little pathway that you can barely slide a piece of sheet metal through. But together, as one unit, we succeeded. Derek was there. He is a widower. He'd lost his wife just very recently. To see kind of the sorrow, but masking that with a smile right when he arrived. You could see through that mask that, man, this man was hurting inside. And to watch Derek through these days really gave me affirmation that I was doing the right thing. I was in the right place, because these retreat cabins will live on for years and years to come and help countless amounts of people.
So, yeah, it's a retreat for widows and widowers and their kids. It's also a retreat for pastors and their families.
We just need a place of respite and quiet.
Third group is everybody else. So it's just a place to come be healed.
And we hope to reach out, like on weekends even, just to our local community, couples or families that are going through a difficult time and can't leave. We live on an island, Ketchikan, but they can come over here and just feel like they're getting away. And really excited about the families, the people that are going to be able to come and just stay in the cabin and in the cabins and just experience God's goodness and be reminded of His love in new ways. That's our prayer. And just experience the peace of this property. It's pretty special.
Our progress has been absolutely amazing to this point. We had both arch cabin frames up. We were getting some insulation up. We had a few sheets of sheet metal up, and we were ready to top these houses out.
So I need a sheet metal crew. We're going to need 4 people.
And it got to the point to where everybody, you could tell at the end of the day, everybody was whooped. We were tired. These guys from Kansas came right in. They had no rest. They went straight to work. They're in this gorgeous place. They're in Alaska, and all they've seen is about, 2,000 square feet of rainforest. It's time to see Alaska.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. What are we doing today?
We're going in an airplane.
Misty, Misty, can you stop for me? I ain't got much besides this guitar. Back a ways you'd find what else I own, and trouble that damned old car.
So it's time to get up, head over to the float plane docks, and head into the Misty Fjords.
But it sure ain't taking me home.
No other feeling that I've ever had like being on this float plane.
And you head east.
To be able to take in the vastness and the beauty,
I'm aiming for a holler in the hills of Appalachia.
and take a deep breath and really be thankful for this opportunity.
It's prettier than heaven and where I'm at the world.
Oh my God! Really? This is awesome.
Really touched to see everyone having such a good time, and one purpose brought us here, and that was to build some cabins.
That was so cool.
That was my bro.
To tell the truth, long shots around.
Lasso, heads up! It was our last opportunity to get these cabins finished up, and with the rejuvenation of the day of R&R and flight tours, everyone seemed eager. So we were trying to get these houses to a dried-in state, and so far it was looking really good. Dealing with adverse challenges on this last day, such as trees being inches away from the side of the cabin and having to slide sheet metal through the side, maybe having to pop some plywood through some windows front and back, because that was the only place where it would go. But we got this thing done. We were able to get up the rest of the sheet metal, top out the ridge caps, using teamwork, good communication. So thanks, guys. Today we ended at 5:30.
Thanks all of you. Y'all worked so hard.
how much we got done because you were here.
And at the end of our day, boy, we had a treat. We all gathered together in fellowship for a crab boil.
You doing okay?
It was absolutely phenomenal. And the most important thing we had was the company of each other. To know that we had completed 2 houses in just a matter of a few days. The first day I was apprehensive, and here we are, and I'm sad that everyone has to go home. This wasn't just about building cabins. This wasn't just about overcoming adversity. This was about a dream. This was about creating a reality and giving somebody a hand up into their future. To get to know John and Lorna furthermore, to get to know their story, to get to know their purpose that helped make this retreat possible. Little did we know that we were going to get a lot more out of it than what we thought.
You gotta find your people.
We oftentimes put limitations on who we are, what we can do, where we go, and the adventures we seek. But opening our minds and opening our hearts will oftentimes give us an opportunity and give us the joy in our heart to be in fellowship of others, in service of others. Overall, Alaska was an amazing experience, and I would do it over again any day of the week.
In the lost and found. In a world full of strangers.
I've had the opportunity to work on a lot of off-grid, in the middle of nowhere, remote job sites, and this is by far the gnarliest, most hardcore, in the middle of nowhere job sites I have ever worked on. And there really kind of comes a pride with challenge. When you overcome, you really feel a sense that, hey, I owned this moment. We were able to, just in a matter of 4 to 5 days, manifest a couple of houses and get these people started on their way to helping countless people. No telling how many people will go through those cabins and stay in those cabins and feel that little bit of peace.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright, to tell you the truth and wish you well. You gotta find your people, then you'll find yourself.
John and Lorna's retreat will be a place for people to get some reprieve, a place for peace and tranquility, a place to put aside their traumas and let the healing begin.